to the State Military Museum, Saratoga Springs, New York, 26th of July 2004, approximately 1 p.m. Interviewers are Wayne Clark and Mike Russert. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
Earl Keeler, born in Ballston Spa on January 15, 1931.
Okay. What was your educational background prior to entering military service?
Just elementary school.
All right. Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I was drafted.
All right. Drafted into the Army. When were you drafted?
February 21st, 1952.
Okay. Where did you go for your basic training?
Fort Belvoir, Virginia.
And what kind of basic training did you receive? Anything beyond regular boot camp or?
It was engineer training, and I did go to a carpenter school and engineer school.
How long did you receive that training?
I believe it was around 12 weeks of basic training and 4 weeks of carpenter school.
Okay. Did you do that all in Virginia also?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
What did you train on? Were you building like barracks or?
Well, it was mostly infantry training.
Okay, but your carpentry school?
That was doing building, putting up buildings and stuff. Okay. It was trained you more or less to the easy way to put them up so they could be taken down quick if we needed to leave them.
Do you use a lot of power equipment? Power saws?
Yeah, they had power saws and quite a bit of power equipment, yeah.
Okay.
Now, how old were you when you went into the service?
Around 20.
Now, was this your first time away from home? I know your brother said it was there.
Yeah, any length of time, yes it was. Yeah.
Did you stay in contact with those at home through
Yes, I did.
letters? And,
yeah.
All right. All right, after you left engineering school, I think you had 16 weeks in Virginia, where did you go from there?
I had a 30-day leave and then I went to Korea.
Okay, you went right over to Korea. Were you assigned a unit before you went, or were you assigned when you got to Korea?
I was assigned when I got there.
Okay. How did you get to Korea?
I went by boat to Japan, and we traveled by train to an airport, and we flew over from Japan to Korea.
What unit were you assigned to when you reached Korea?
11th Engineer Aviation Battalion. And I was in what they call SCARWAF. That was the engineers battalion attached to the Air Force. The Air Force didn't have people trained for the type of work that they was doing, so the engineers worked with them.
Do you know, or do you remember what that stood for actually? That word, I know I know it breaks down into a number of words.
I can't remember just what that.
Okay. I had encountered it before, I was just curious.
I probably took some time. I could probably think of it, but right offhand I can't.
Okay.
Can't.
All right. Being assigned to the Air Force, what were your duties?
We crushed rock and built airstrips and stuff like that.
So it wasn't carpentry.
No, no, they didn't want to put you in anything that you knew too much about. So they put me in I crushed rock all the while I was over there for blacktop and roads and stuff.
Now, what did you drive heavy equipment then?
Yeah, bulldozer. That's the first time I ever run a bulldozer, and I run the rock crushers and bucket loader. We did a lot of drilling and blasting.
Could you explain when you build an airfield, how did you go about doing it? Do you know the steps that you went through in doing it?
I myself stayed right at the rock quarry all the while.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get a chance to get out to see what other operations, but they did have a blacktop plant and another company that actually made the blacktop. And our crew did the hauling and the crushing, that's all.
So you worked at a quarry then?
Yeah, I worked from 7 at night to 7 in the morning, 7 days a week.
So this, you said, was outside of Seoul?
Yeah, it's Kimpel Air Force Base.
So did you have much time off? Were you able to reenact or able to see the, you know, the sights and the sounds and?
I
The local
was
people?
about 20 miles behind the front lines,
Uh-huh.
and at night, when it was clear, you could see the firing, and you could hear all the noise from it.
Now, what kind of living quarters were you in there?
We slept in tents all the while. There was about 6 to a tent, and with a little pot-belly stove, which by the time didn't have fuel enough to keep it going. We'd wake up in the morning and there'd be frost all around our noses, and it was between 40, 45 below most all the while, and it did get down as cold as 50 below. But we stayed healthy. Of course, we had shots for all different kind of diseases, and
Did you have adequate clothing and footwear?
yeah, I will say that was good. Yeah.
Now, did you ever get much time off to go into any of the Korean villages, or?
No, I worked 7 at night to 7 in the morning, and slept most of the day. I did get to Seoul once, and that was quite a disaster-looking area, and I think that was the only place I got to.
Now, did any Koreans work with you?
Yeah. Yes, we had Korean laborers, and which they was real good workers, and good all-around people.
You trusted them, not like in Vietnam where there was a lack of trust with the,
No, there was
sometimes with the local people.
no lack of trust with them, but we had no.
Because we had heard from other people that over in Korea that anything that wasn't nailed down would disappear.
Well, that could be, but the ones that we had working for us was real good. Yeah, no problem with them. We did have a Korean houseboy
Uh-huh.
that took care of our tents and watched over things. She was pretty trustworthy.
Did you get a chance to try any of the Korean food like kimchi or
Not
anything
too
like
much,
that?
no.
No.
Did you have hot meals most of the time where you were?
Yeah, we had good meals, and at night, at midnight, when we was working, we went to the Air Force Base and had breakfast of anything you wanted and all you wanted. So we had good meals.
And you said your equipment was good equipment? You didn't
Yeah,
have any problems?
everything was kept up good.
Even your equipment in that low of temperatures, you never had problems with?
We had problems in the wintertime because we didn't have permanent antifreeze, and it got so cold that we shut the night shift down for a while. And at the first off, we was just trying to run during the day, and we had to run the equipment all night to keep them warm, because if you shut them off, you wouldn't get them started. And it was so cold, and we didn't have permanent antifreeze like they do here. So if you put the antifreeze, alcohol is what they used in the radiators, if you put it so that it didn't freeze up when they was running, they would freeze up after you shut them off.
Oh, because the water and alcohol
Yeah.
would separate?
Yeah, because it wasn't strong enough, they just didn't hold good. Then if you put them strong enough to keep them from freezing when they shut off, then they'd boil it out when they was running. So you couldn't really win.
Now, you had an amusing story about a Korean laborer named Joe. Could you tell us about
Yes.
that?
He was a great guy. He took care of the crusher for me. I was the head one in the quarry there at the time. And I remember he used to service it and do all the maintenance onto it just about. And he slid down in a conveyor belt one. Well, this was on a Saturday. We worked during the day, some later in the winter. And he slid down a conveyor belt, and we didn't know where he went to. He started hollering, we looked around, and finally we found him. He was down in the belt, so we couldn't start the machine up and just run him out. So we had to turn the big flywheel by hand until the belt moved him up to where we could pull him out by his legs. But he was a great guy, and then we had one that was doing all the blasting for us, and he was familiar with rock drills and dynamite and all that, and he was real good.
How long were you in Korea?
I was there just about a year,
What year was that?
1952 and 53.
Okay. Now, you stayed in the service then until 60. What did you do for the next 7 years?
Well,
You
I
left
was in the
Korea?
reserves,
Oh, you went into the
Yeah.
reserves.
and I came home and went back to work for the paper mill in Rock City, Gotcha Paper Company. Then in spring of 58, I opened up my own sand and gravel business, trucking.
What reserve unit did you belong to? The one in Schenectady?
I never had to go, but I was on,
I see.
I think what you call inactive duty.
Okay,
I could be called back in any time if they needed to be,
okay.
but I didn't have to report to no place.
There was something I wanted to ask and I just lost it.
When you were in Korea, did you get to see any USO shows or any?
I think I saw one, and I can't remember that much about it,
Uh-huh.
and I don't remember who was there,
Okay.
but they did have them occasionally.
How did you feel about MacArthur being replaced? Did you have any feelings about that at all?
Yeah, I think he did a good job.
Okay. You said that you felt that you were disappointed on your return home from Korea. Why was that?
Well, you take today, you see people meeting you when you get off the plane or whatever. We didn't have any of that. I remember when I come home, I landed in California and I flew from there to New York, and I gotta come the rest of the way by train and in Albany, and a bus from there to Saratoga or Ballston, and there was just nothing like they do today. There was no flag waving or nobody to meet you. I remember I walked the last half a mile home.
After you left the service, did you make use of a GI Bill at all?
No, I didn't.
Did you join any veterans organizations?
I belonged to the Korean veterans in Glens Falls.
Okay. Did you ever stay in contact with anyone that was in service with you?
No, I haven't. No.
Now, I noticed you said there was a fellow soldier that through basic training, George Hunter. Did you ever keep in contact with him?
No,
or
I
did you
didn't. No.
know what happened to him at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did you, God, bad mind. Could you tell how you think your time in the service had any effect? Do you think it had any effect on your life?
I would say I've learned a lot, yeah. And I think back of different things at different times that I've done, and I don't say that it was a lost experience. I think back of some of the good times we had over there, and There was some bad times too, but
Mhm.
Was that the coldest you've ever been?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we didn't have any snow. Only one little snowstorm, I think it was last day of December, and another one like the last day of January, and it wasn't hardly enough to cover the ground. But we used to see equipment coming down for repairs from the front lines, and they had a lot of snow up there, just 20 miles or so. They had, I understood they had 4 or 5 foot of snow up there then.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your interview.
Okay.